Hi, my name's April Miller. I am a middle school teacher in Gwinnett County, and today I wanted to look at reversing students' underachievement and four different things that you might want to consider if you are having issues in the classroom with maybe it's not just a gifted student, any of your students, but for this presentation, I am going at it from the point of view of working with gifted students. Okay, so there's four different reasons that I kind of started to consider, or four different steps that I went through as I was kind of processing this. And they are first, what does underachievement really look like? If I'm looking at that, what are the characteristics I want to look for? Who is affected would be the second thing that I would look at. What are some of the interventions I would use? And then lastly, what does achievement look like? What does it look like to me? What does it look like to the student? So, for the questions that I kind of broke down with my thoughts are what does underachievement look like? I was looking at declining grades, behavior issues, students that fall between the cracks. And that one kind of hit me hard because that is something that I fear, no matter who my class population is, I don't ever want my students to feel like I am not there to help them. And if there's something going on and I miss it, then I take that personally and try to make up for it in the future. Who's affected? As I said before, all levels of students are affected by underachievement, but I'm focusing mainly on my gifted students for this presentation. Interventions are not limited to these. Mentors, self-selection topic by the student, focusing on the student's strengths, respect between teacher-student, student peers, student teacher, and then real world problems that might be going on outside of the school that are affecting the student. And then what is this going to end up looking like as far as achievement? I'm looking for these positive relationships, and I'm looking for the student to start to have a little more self awareness about them, taking ownership of things, and then the curriculum itself for the student to become more rigorous. So the underachievement characteristics would go back to that first question. So declining grades is exactly like any of us would expect. We would be seeing maybe the grades at the start of the school year start slow and they fade. Maybe we start to just notice a student's, they're saying it's just good enough. I just want to do just enough that the teacher doesn't get after me and I'm not on her radar. Behavior issues, lack of respect, emotional, their peer group. They're starting to act out maybe if the curriculum is not rigorous enough, the self control there with the acting out. The withdrawn, I wanted to take just a second and explain what I meant by withdrawn. I'm not talking necessarily about the student who we all have that just they prefer to work by themselves in the classroom. They're just quiet. We have all those shy students. We understand that, but you also know they've got that group of friends. They may be quiet in the classroom, but if you're in the lunchroom, you know they're going to be there. They're going to be working and eating and having a great time, smiles on their face. They don't look unhappy. I'm thinking here the student that is quiet in the classroom, they sit beside all by themselves at lunch. They are very much a loner. Those are the ones who, when I see that, I'm starting to wonder what's going on. Let me talk to them. Let me find out. We have the overlooked population, and with this one, those are my gifted students who they actually have maybe a learning disability that has gone undiagnosed, or there's another underlying factor that is affecting their academics, and that's something that it's one of those things that I call it overlooked because we don't catch it because the students academically grade wise are doing great. but maybe there's more potential there than we have allowed them to take. And then lastly, maybe I say the most surprising is within the gifted population only, here is what I'm talking about, that boys are going to underachieve 2 to 3 times more than girls. I truly didn't think of it being quite that high. I would have thought maybe a 1 to 3, but 2 to 3 times more our gifted boys are going to be the underachievers. I found this next figure here. I really liked this prism metaphor. For me, I like to see visually how I'm moving in a student's life, and for me, this did that. I see it as the student is going to, their brightness, their energy, no matter what level they're on, is going to come into that prism. It's going to come into my classroom. And then my hope is within their time with me, the amount of bending and shaping they do within that classroom prism is going to have them leave in a much brighter, more energetic, and excited way. This is actually the prism metaphor for reversing underachievement. I did a little bit of research outside of our own classroom text. And when I found this, I just wanted to include it because I felt like it wrapped and summarized everything the way I was trying to visualize it. So you have your underachievement. On one side, we have our intervention, which is the prism, and then we have our achievement, which is this grand, just vibrant ray of light. So as a light passes through a prism, it's going to bend and change direction, but it's also going to take on a qualitative difference. That process is going to result in the spectrum of colors that is vastly different from the one that it had entered. Successfully reversing underachievement in a student performance is what our goal is. And that is what that reflection there shows to me and what it means to me. To help students who underachieve, then we also have to help them learn how to bend that light and how to help that light get shaped to where it's brighter. So these are some interventions that I kind of mapped out to think through. And you have respect when the student knows the teacher respects them. I have always found that I get that student's respect and then I get more out of that student. Mentor relationships, peer mentor or adult mentorships. Um, there are some schools that I've been in who have the adult mentor programs, but they're normally for more of our underprivileged students. But here, you could always match a student up to an adult mentor, depending on the needs. Also, you've got the emotional support, and here there's two different kinds of emotional issues that we might end up finding in school. We always know there's going to be peer group issues. There's always going to be friends issues, but the home issues are sometimes the ones the kids get maybe a little more quiet about. Maybe they keep to themselves more, and they also might be the ones that are a little more deep rooted. And if it, depending on how severe of a issue is at home, that might be a time that we have to get the social worker or counselors involved and have them kind of help us with some mediation between home and school. And the student strengths, these are the ones that, if we just need to do something as simple as increase rigor in our curriculum, if the student is just getting bored because they're not being challenged, then we ought to just change it up. And then we got the self selection of topics. And for that, I was thinking like my head, it just went straight to like choice boards or um, PBLs, just anything that gives them more control over the lesson itself. But I also thought about student strengths here when we were doing our differentiation lesson plan, because to me, that is when we're starting to identify through pre assessments and informal and formal assessments, what does our student need? And that might be all. They might just need us to challenge them more. And then, what do these look like? So, a couple of the things that I just bullet point here, they're going to learn what hard work accomplishes. And hopefully, it's that self satisfaction to where they want to continue to do it. I also would want to stress to them perfection is not a necessary thing. Students need to understand that they are valued for who they are and not what they are or how they perform something. Also, I want them to understand that school needs to be meaningful. I want them to take this ownership and make it theirs. Coordinating the interventions between home and school, not having it be that home's only going to hear from you when the student's having an issue. Let them hear from you when they're doing good. Asking peer for insight, and I'm not talking about students here. I'm talking about our fellow teachers. Increasing the students' academic self-efficacy, and then guiding students in strategies for more of a self-regulation, helping them take more ownership. Maybe they need to start writing that schedule down. Maybe they need to start studying for these things as they get older, because it's not as easy as it was the year before. They are going to have to kind of, bend and bend and shape a little differently in the classroom to have that outcome that they all want. And then lastly, I found this guide, and it was really nice because what I liked about it, it lays out 6 different areas where we can use it for any student. But I was looking at gifted again here, and it's talking about the assessments, how we can use these assessments to maybe help us increase that rigor in the classroom, the communication with students, teacher, home, parents, changing expectations. I think that as long as these students understand that your expectations are set at a level that they are expected to reach, and when they don't, you are reinforcing what that expectation was and why they need to reach it, it goes a long way. Again, we have the role modeling, we have correcting skill deficiencies, and modifying for reinforcements there. I have really enjoyed this. I hope that you gained just a nugget that you would be able to use in your classroom. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks and have a great day.